Thank you.
I heard you had some problems in the borders.
Oh, coming into Spain?
You know,
I was
in
worried.
Spain they closed the borders for the European Central Bank meeting.
Yes. Here in Europe we have the Schengen Treaty, which it means that borders are open.
Yeah, borders
within
open in
Europe.
the whole Europe, so you can trespass without identifying yourself or nothing. You can just go on.
Yeah.
But they closed the borders
For 6 days before the May 3rd.
Yeah, and they started to control all the people that wanted to cross the border.
And also they make random identification of people in a very
It's not
aggressive
normal.
way.
It doesn't happen.
It's like suspending the rules of democracy temporarily, which is
Like martial law is what
like
we
martial
say.
law, which is usually the
Maybe you've
the
seen
argument.
a lot of police lately. The city is militarized. We are in a worse state right now with the police. It's not it's not violent, but it's like a
Intimidating.
Yeah, it's psychological pressure they are doing for these days.
There were
Absolutely.
8,500 policemen taking over Barcelona with several helicopters all around.
Yeah, we have helicopters the whole day. It's fucking annoying. Every morning we have a helicopter on.
In March, in the March protest, yeah.
In March, in May, not in May.
It just started with the last general strike because there was some riots. No big riots, and it was not a big problem, but they used this as an argument to put this kind of militarization of the city and the
Yes.
Catalonia region.
Which is again why the Black Bloc, in my
Exactly.
opinion,
There was
is not
in
helpful.
March, correct me if I'm wrong, in March 29th, there was some 305,000 demonstration in here, which was massive in Barcelona.
Yeah.
And it was
350,000,
absolutely massive.
yeah.
And there were some 300 people who used the black bloc tactics. They broke some banks' windows and they burnt a
They
bunch of
burned,
containers.
I think, 2 or 3 banks and 1 Starbucks.
And what happened is, while usually media tries to minimize the impact of demonstrations and try to, to pretend it didn't happen, this time there was the media bombed the people with those images. And while there had
Sound
been,
familiar, America?
yeah, where there were 80 demonstrations in demonstrations in 80 cities and a very successful general strike, the media absolutely abused those images. For example, my grandmother, who has a lot to lose with the social cuts now, she was saying, "Oh my goodness, it seems like a revolution and civil war is coming back," because of the language the media used. So this has served as an excuse for the government to put forward all this militarization of police and to say it's justified. Now we are protecting the population of these radicals, of these violent people, while we use non-violent strategies.
Yes.
They remain with that argument.
Then they have a
said this
blackout.
against the movement because the movement really, the Black Bloc was really controlled as a way of talking. It was out of control a bit, but it was controlled. It was some people that decided this. It was out of the movement. They decided on their own, and it was not related. The movement called it for the strike, but as any other collective, any association or union. But we didn't call for the Black Bloc. But they used this against the movement.
Yes.
And some people were related to the other group and also in the movement because they are in the social struggle. And they used this to criminalize a lot of people, especially the people that was injured and went to the hospital. They took the list of the people that went to the hospital and started to chase them and go to their homes to take them. And
Really?
yeah. They took this list. They know where they live, so they went there to take them. It's kind of
Scary
crazy.
times.
They
Yeah,
blew
no.
4 eyes out of people. They were used like rubber bullets indiscriminately against the demonstrators. Like they want to provoke that violence.
Yes.
It's not that police find that the individual policemen may not like the situation, but in a systemic way, the media, the corporate media, the government love that to happen because that allows them to detract attention for the very valid and
Well, and
just
it's a
cause they are
propaganda
defending.
tool. They can focus on
No,
the.
we have some curious thing that most of the politicians in the parliament are against the police activities in these days. They thought it was too much, or
Interesting.
it was not so big, and they didn't avoid the problems with the with the riots, and they evicted this square. There was no riot in the square, but they evicted it all in only 8 minutes. It was full of people. It was kind of impossible, and it's so hard because they attacked all the people.
Indiscriminately.
The riots were focused in another place, not so far, but in another place. The police was not there. They were only stopping the people to rejoin the demonstration or something like this, and they attacked all the other people.
Yeah.
So it's like people now in the city is afraid of the police. They don't trust them, and it had a good social impact. I said against the government, but at the same time people is afraid of this happening all the time. People attacking everywhere, police attacking everyone. So
And
people
also,
have some bit of fear to go to a demonstration or something like this. But we didn't have any other riots, any other problem. It happened nothing. And these people on the black bloc, we already talked to them, and they agreed that this was not really good, and they said, okay, we try to come. And this was controlled. They decided to do this, and they make no other decision about this right now. They are supporting this peaceful demonstration for these days, and there's no Black Bloc planet or nothing.
Well, in Black Bloc too, it's important to remember it's not a group; it's a tactic.
It's a tactic.
It's a tactic.
No, but there was some people that said we are going to do this.
Yeah.
And they were in this tactic.
Yes, yeah, and that that boils down to, in my opinion, either provocateur. I don't know, agent provocateur,
This day it was
or people, individuals who are taking their own action, but do not represent the movement as a whole. It's a difficult part.
I find it how are we, those who are using non-violent tactics, to relate to those who use violent tactics? How are we going to relate to them?
Yeah.
Shall we become kind of a police of peace? Shall we, I don't know, bend them over to the policemen? Shall we say it's them, they're making? Shall we shit talk them to the media? I don't think we should do that, because I think we need to look for it's divisive, and that's what they want. They want to divide us. So I think it's more through dialogue and a positive emotion management, and also to agree on, for example, okay, we will not stop you from doing that, but may we agree, please do not use the Black Bloc tactics within the passive, non-violent demonstration. Maybe we can get to agreements on that. But if we reject the violence,
do your own and tell the people that it's going to be violent. Don't start it on surprise, so people can get hurt with their child or other people around.
But we should not attack them. We should not see the people who use the Black Bloc as the enemy, or to cooperate in that sense with the police. Because if we are non-violent, if we believe in non-violence, we should not use that violence. But we do not agree with the violence of the state and the forces of security. So we are not going to do the dirty job for the policemen. We should not do that either. So we can use white blocks instead of black blocks, which is based on mediation, on people witness, on dialogue, on proactive ways of non-violent.
Protecting the people from the police.
Protect the people from the police.
That's the point.
Yeah, exactly.
People making some resistance from the people that has not they are maybe afraid, or they don't want to be in front of the police. So we need to have some people in the middle to protect them.
Yeah, like with the shield.
That's more the point. Not even shields, just their bodies in the middle to avoid the police to trespass, like some human barricades or something like this. But we need to see how it's going to work. But we know the Black Bloc was controlled. There are some people, concrete people, that know what they are doing. They only attacked symbols. You can see people harmed by the police. 80 people really harmed by the police. People harmed by the demonstrators, no one. Only some symbols, and there was no people working in these places that they burned. There was no risk about harming people.
What is the situation in the U.S.?
Very similar. We have there's one city in particular, which is Oakland, which has a history of an incredibly violent, repressive, and racist police department. And Oakland has had what we call the Black Bloc a diversity of tactics. And the GAs of Oakland have decided to not condemn it publicly because they feel that they have their reasons for doing that, but they tried to make it clear that it is not an Occupy approved, that while they will not condemn it, it is not something that they're
shared.
That's shared. So, for example, there was a similar situation where a police station was damaged on May 1st in San Francisco, and a few private small businesses. And the San Francisco GA debated whether or not to issue a public statement saying, we condemn this. We want to help repair our community. We all live here. This was the act of a few individuals. And the group largely consents to the idea. However, it stopped. Oh no! No one needs to see me right now. I'm on enough. But I'm just trying to get your head framed because I'm short. Everyone, I keep cutting them off.
The Oakland General Assembly.
Yeah, well, it was actually San Francisco. It happened in the city of San Francisco in this particular time. So it actually, as far as I know, did not get approved, but it was on things like language. I mean, quite frankly, it was not approved for the wrong reasons. But the group agreed to the idea of this is our community and we want to support, our businesses, and we want to make sure that people know that we are not into property damage or violence. So, there's people in every group that feel, I guess, more violent than the majority of people. Then there's people that feel very, very strongly no violence. It has to be passive.
Yes.
I personally, I understand the people who I understand the emotion of the rage of violence, but I think tactically you can't go there. I mean, we will never win by fighting them when they're the strongest. We have to expose their weaknesses, which is that they can't dialogue and they can't respond and they can't, they can only come at us with violence. So when we sit down, you saw the video of the UC Davis students that were pepper sprayed.
Yes.
That was so powerful because they were sitting. If they were standing up and yelling and throwing things, nobody would have cared as much. It happens every day in America almost now with the protests that people are pepper sprayed. But these kids were quiet and sitting down, and that exposed the police more than a situation where you're fighting back.
Yes.
So that's why I think it's really, really important that we train ourselves and continue to remain largely peaceful. I do understand, though. I do understand the frustration and rage of people who.
But that frustration is created purposefully by the system. Why? Because when we demonstrate non-violently, the media tends to ignore. For example, the May Day U.S. general strike was a historic fact, and the New York Times and the Washington Post said nothing about it. So what's the reaction? There is a sentence, I don't know if you say that in English, is those who frustrate peaceful revolution open the gates for violent revolution. So they want us to get into the trap, to feel frustrated, to feel powerless. And that's why they ignore as much as they can, as far as it is possible, all the non-violent actions. But when one violence or property destruction action is taken, they magnify it immensely.
Yes.
So they are empowering the people who resort to violent tactics.
And it's also scaring, like you said, like your grandmother
purposefully.
scares them.
Like my grandmother was so scared, or if there's going to be the risk of violence in a demonstration, for example, pregnant women, children, immigrants in illegal situation, disabled people will never go.
Foreigners.
Foreigners, because they will feel vulnerable. So that's very divisive. And so maybe my point is not rather to moralize about people who resort to black bloc tactics, but rather as to empower the vast majority of people who opt for non-violent tactics, either reject it morally or either things strategically from a tactical, political point of view is not it's not a battle we can win. I mean. So it's to empower the non-violent activists and to separate, not to step on each other's toes.
Yeah.
If they want to do it, okay, but let us negotiate, let us dialogue how to do it without. For example, the Occupy London developed the samples principles, which was a kind of agreement between people that minority who resorted to black bloc tactics, and the majority who wanted to peacefully demonstrate and non-violent go for civil disobedience. And they say, okay, with the non-violent, with the pacifists, we won't shit talk you to the media, we won't hand you over to the police, we won't. We will not publicly condemn you, but we need to state very clearly the difference between let us separate in time and space. Let us not converge together. And anyhow, personally, I think that even in that case, it's gonna be a dead end to use that kind of tactics, because in a militarized state, in a capitalism crisis which is quickly degenerating into authoritarian states, the use of violence, the resort to any act of property destruction, accelerates and legitimates that process. So it's not that we are soft in our intentions about change, or that I personally think that some shallow changes in the surface of the system would be enough. Our proposals may be radical, extremely radical, but in what regards to the methods for enact that change, as you were saying, we let us battle the fights. Let us fight the battles where we are meant to win. And our main strength is that we defend a true cause. Truth is on our side. There is a tiny minority enacting poverty and misery on a large majority, and that cannot occur unless that majority allows that minority to do so. So our strength relies in inclusion, in gaining support, in being all together.
We have a point of process. Okay, cutting off.